Hello, welcome to Creative You Podcast. It's a podcast about knitting and crocheting and being uplifted and shining no matter what the circumstances. And so today my theme is the bliss of solitude. And it's also about the color yellow. And where is yellow in our life? So yesterday we talked about color and choosing color, and we talked about how purples and golds and oranges look good together. And right after I finished the podcast, I found this in my kitchen drawer. Years ago when my husband and I went to Taos, there's an artist, R.C. Gorman, and you could get some commercialized pieces. And I loved this one. And there you see the purples, the oranges, and the golds. So I went outside to get some daffodils, and only the ones closest to our house were still blooming. So I found a paltry few. And this little shrub ground cover that survived when none of the other shrubs did. But I realized that my life, and probably a lot of lives, have an absence of yellow. This is artificial forsythia. And I used to think forsythia was ugly and gaudy. And then my friend invited me to her house in the woods. And the forsythia is lacy and beautiful, and I fell in love with it. So I went to my closet to see what kind of yellow I had, and this is it. Nothing else. I couldn't find a bit. I think that's why when families go on trips to theme parks and so forth, if they dress their kids in like a neon yellow, they can find them easily in the crowd. So today I thought I would talk about spending time alone, which is very appropriate. I've been listening to a Jewish Christian named Jonathan Cahn, and he talked about during the Passover, which is being celebrated now, families sequestered themselves in their homes with only their family members and waited for the plague to pass. Is that not significant to today or what? So I showed you my orchid maybe a week or so ago, that for almost a year I thought it was dead, and I kept taking care of it. And then suddenly one day I noticed a flower, and then a second. And so here we go. The package direction had said 2 ice cubes a week, so you don't overwater it or underwater it, and it's absolutely beautiful. So if you were to design a project with these colors, your creamy white, your light purple, and then a beautiful magenta, and then there's the gold colors. Gorgeous, isn't it? Even the buds are beautiful. So keep hope alive, and don't be quick to write something off, because it may be a big blessing in your life. I think when my husband got me that, it had maybe 3 flowers on it. Now a year later, I'm getting 12. If you see my attention divert, our backyard is out there, and there's a squirrel that keeps running on our fence back and forth. Used to drive our St. Bernard and our Black Lab crazy. The 2 dogs we have now, they don't really care about it. I also looked through my stash, and this is all that I found. That's it. And we have a tickler that we play with the cat. It's an artificial flower, but not much yellow in my house. Yarn shop owners have said you need yellow on the shelf. You won't sell yellow, but you need yellow because it makes the other colors pop. There's yellow and purple, or purple, red, magenta look good together. You will see yellow in with other colors. But cheers, here's to yellow. Yellow makes you feel bright and cheerful. And I looked up projects. I just typed in yellow. And doesn't that make you feel cheerful? And while people may not wear yellow, they like it on others. There's the yellow brick road cow. And if you want a big tenacious yellow turnip in your life, a yellow duckling, quack, quack. The cat that we brought home as part of a foster a cat sometimes sounds like a duck. Instead of meow, it's like meow. It's like meow. There's a pretty yellow shawl. I like it, and I'm challenging myself, and I'm challenging you to get some yellow in your life. So, solitude. How many people know how to be happy and content with themselves? To be excited. Tonight, I get to be with me. Tonight, now I know if a woman has a bunch of kids and a busy house, she can't wait for solitude. It's something that's treasured. Elderly can find out that they spend a lot of time by themselves, too much time, and you can need other people to be stimulated. One of my colleagues said to me one time, would you paint if no one ever looked at your paintings? He was an actor. Well, would I? I answered, yes, of course. But as my paintings piled up, it made me ponder that. But cherishing yourself and cherishing time with yourself is so very vital to loving yourself. So in honor of yellow and in honor of daffodils, I want to read to you William Wordsworth poem. I was talking about Anne Perry's detective book set in the 1850s. Well, William Wordsworth died April 23rd, 1850. And this poem became immortalized. Every other line rhymes. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats or high or vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beside the trees, fluttering and dancing on the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So I'm inviting you to have a dance with yellow. And I'm thinking back to yesterday's podcast when the character in my book said how sad it is to realize late what you could have enjoyed and what would have changed your life early. And so let's celebrate solitude. My tip of the day is a bind-off that you may not have ever tried. If you need a tight bind-off, maybe you want fingerless mitts that are snug, or the brim of a hat, or whatever. On bigger needles, though, it can be loose. So, aren't these needles so cute? They were put out by Chalgu years ago. Chalgu means crafty lady, and they were not expensive for all their cute little jolliness. So what I do is, and I'm going to do the throwing method here, is I knit 3. Of course, when you bind off, you knit loosely. And then I pass the first one over the other 2. Now I knit a 3rd, and then I pass the first one over the other 2. And that's the whole thing. So sometimes it's fun to do something different. If you're driving and you always go a certain way, take a different path and see. You do get a nice, even bind off that's snug. So there you go. It's that easy. Knit 3, pass the first one over the other 2. Now you don't want to be too tight. You don't want it to turn like that. But that is my knitting tip of the day. My invitation to go to YouTube and look up an adorable little girl named Claire Crosby, Claire with an E. She's become famous. She's 7 now. She is so darling, and she sings a lot of Disney songs, but she also sings some spiritual songs, and the meaning she puts into those songs is drawing people into her world. She sings Gethsemane, which is very appropriate for this time of year, and she sings one about hope. Peace in Christ, it's called. So I'd invite you. You will be mesmerized by this darling little girl. But what pulled me in were the comments. Gethsemane or Peace in Christ, a woman wrote, "My 2-year-old is in the hospital fighting for her life, and every day she listens to this song." And when you visit YouTube and you look at songs like that, Amazing Grace and all of those spiritual songs, people leave heartbreaking messages, and they also leave messages of hope. This song's inspired me. I didn't grow up with any beliefs, but this is pulling me in. And so I would invite you to visit little Claire Crosby. And as we approach Easter, yesterday was a day of world prayer and fasting, and I was surprised to find a female minister from South Carolina a year ago put a Facebook post, went live saying that God had given her a vision about a virus that was going to come and it would stay. And I've been hearing in the news that this virus is not going away. We will fight this every year. But God's message to her was, return to me. I want my people to return to me. If you have never opened wide your heart to Jesus and surrendered completely, man, you're missing out, because the Christian life is so awesome and amazing. When Wordsworth talks about your inner eye, Jesus gives you his spirit within you that guides you. And it is incredible. So, knitting and crocheting friends and everyone else out there, I wish you the bless of solitude. Enjoy yourself, embrace yourself, and I will see you tomorrow. And shine, baby, shine.